Take a chance and wait. Stay light as a feather, a feather. Shake away the weight. Cut what makes you tethered, tethered. Trust when you fall in every risk you take. Knowing redemption's always on its way. Let all the courage in you start to wake. Unafraid, 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 I'm unafraid. Every second I'm raising up higher. Unafraid, I'm unafraid. Don't count the mistakes. Look for better measures, measures. Keep hope in your gaze. Hold truth as a treasure, treasure. Trust when you fall in every risk you take. Knowing redemption's always on its way. Let all the courage in you start to wake. Unafraid, 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 I'm unafraid. Every second I'm raising up higher.
They thought it nourishing. According to one modern reconstruction, in those days tended to view children as moving straight from infancy to adulthood around the age of 7, and often thereupon set them out to work. Indian parents, by contrast, regarded the years before puberty as a time of playful development and kept their offspring close by until marriage. Jarringly, to the present-day eye, some pilgrims interpreted this as sparing the rod.
Seasons will turn, time creates distance. Two hearts can fall into resistance. Even on a dark night, tell me that it's alright. Everything will be fine. It's okay, it's okay. Remember.
Leslie Mound. The Leslie site consists of one large, rectangular platform mound. Excavations in 2013 determined that the mound was built in 2 or more stages, beginning in the late Coles Creek or early Plaquemine period, ca. AD 1100 to 1350. Based on excavated ceramic and stone artifacts, the mound was used until perhaps the mid-17th century. Post holes and burning on the surface underneath the mound indicate that people were using the site before the mound was constructed. The Leslie family graveyard is located on the summit.
You never sway from imperfections. Even on a dark night, tell me that it's alright. Everything will be
Smith Creek Mounds. The Smith Creek site consists of 3 mounds surrounding a large plaza. Mound A is the site's largest monument, at over 30 feet. Mound B is a burial mound surrounded by a ditch or moat. Mound C, to the east, is eroding into Smith Creek. Its original dimensions are unknown. Mounds A and C were built in multiple stages, beginning in the Coles Creek period, circa AD 1000 to 1100, and continuing until circa AD 1350. The plaza at Smith Creek was artificially raised as early as AD 750-850 and probably predates the mounds, and construction continued until about AD 1350.
young love inside our eyes. This is where we've grown. Don't forget how far we've come.
Ardenish Lake. Ardenish is a ghost town located in Wilkinson County, Mississippi, United States. South of the town was Ardenish Landing, located on a stretch of the Mississippi River known as the Homochitto Cutoff. Located near the community were the Ardenish School, Ardenish Plantation, and Ardenish Oil Field. Ardenish had a post office from 1890 to 1936. The population was 51 in 1900. General Walter Henry Gordon, namesake of the vessel USS General W.H. Gordon, was born in Ardenish in 1863. Nothing remains of the settlement.
That was beautiful. This is an unexpected part of the trip. I think I'm lost as fuck. My GPS isn't working really well. There's hardly any cell phone service, and I love it.
Grand Village of the Natchez Indians. Of the 6 mounds identified on early 18th century maps of the Grand Village, 3 remain. Mound A is now eroding into St. Catherine Creek. Mound B is a pyramidal platform mound, roughly 7 feet tall, built in 4 stages. Each stage served as a platform for a chief's residence. Mound C, also built in 4 stages, supported temple structures associated with mortuary ritual. The mounds were built in the Plaquemine period, beginning circa AD 1350. And were occupied until 1730, when the French attacked the village. Welcome to the original Natchez. The Natchez, pronounced Natchez by the original inhabitants, occupied this site as early as 1200 AD. By 1700 there were many Natchez communities and villages in the area. When French colonists arrived in the early 18th century, they viewed this site as the main political and religious center, describing it as the Grand Village of the Natchez. Leaders like the Great Sun, the principal chief, lived on the mounds and conducted important administrative and religious duties on this sacred site. In 1729, after years of increasing demands and atrocities from the French settlers, the Natchez resisted. They destroyed much of the colony. French retaliation was swift, and siege warfare followed the uprising. The Natchez were forced to abandon their ancestral homeland shortly after, surviving among other tribal groups, notably the Chickasaw, Creek, and Cherokee. The Natchez maintained their separate ethnic identity, traditions, and language. Descendants of the Natchez were instrumental in opening the Grand Village as a Mississippi Department of Archives and History site and museum, 1976. The site serves as a connection to the homeland for Natchez people, and a place where all can learn about our shared past. Mound A. Many French colonial records indicate only 2 mounds at the Grand Village: a Temple Mound and the Great Sun's Mound, both located south of where you are standing. Little mention was made of a third earthwork, so researchers described Mound A as the abandoned mound. Modern archival research has shed new light on this once mysterious earthwork. A 1723 French map of Natchez, right, shows 6 distinct mounds at Grand Village. This map, along with archaeological evidence, indicates that Mound A was in use during the French contact period. The Great Sun's Mound. Natchez Plaza ceremonies. The Natchez Indians used the open area between the Great Sun's Mound and the Temple Mound for religious and social activities. Events including ball games, feasts, and dances took place on and around this plaza. The area was also used for funeral processions. Deceased chiefs were placed on a litter and carried on a winding path across the plaza. French colonists witnessed this rite for a female chief in 1704, and again for the brother of the Great Sun in 1725. During excavations in 1962, archaeologist Robert Neitzel discovered several burned places in the plaza near the Temple Mound. These areas may mark where Natchez ceremonies took place. The temple of the Natchez people stood tall and imposing on this mound. The roof was topped with large wooden birds. Leaders of the Natchez were buried in the temple, and people brought offerings of food to honor their ancestors. Only the great son, high nobles, and temple keepers were allowed inside the sacred place. French colonists who visited Grand Village recorded details about the temple. Not all of these accounts agree, but each speaks of the sacred nature of the building and the perpetual fire that was kept burning inside. Before you is the second largest temple mound in the United States. Only Monk's Mound in Cahokia, Illinois, is larger. This 8-acre mound, constructed from a natural hill, was built and used from about 1300 to 1600 by the Mississippians, ancestors of the Natchez Indians. Unlike dome-shaped mounds constructed only for burials, emerald mounds supported temples, ceremonial structures, and burials of a complex society's civic and religious leaders.
Set up. About to make me a little supper. I'm right across from the bathroom station. About to make me a little fire. Just letting y'all know. Built-in picnic table.
If you had a little television receiver channel right here next to your eyes, what you're finding, what we're talking about is planes of consciousness or channels on a television set. And most of us, most of the time in this culture, act as if we have a 1 or 2 channel set. We don't have cable. And today we're talking about cable. We're talking about acknowledging all these other channels that are floating around in the room, but we're not picking them up because we don't know how to tune our receiver. That's basically what this is about. So on the first channel, when you look at another human being, you see old, young, dark, light, fat, thin, etc. You see physical body. And if you're obsessed with your physical body, that's what you see when you look in the world, other people's physical bodies. That's the channel you're on. If you flip one channel, then you're in the psychosocial realm. You see power and you see happiness and sadness and neurosis, and it's the therapy channel. It's the social role channel. It's where there are mothers and truck drivers and all lawyers and all the different roles and identities, all the social stuff. And that's all a channel, and that's as the world turns, and it's a never-ending source of fascination. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. Most people are happy with channel 2. In channel 1 and 2, about 98% of the people you've ever known are busy with those 2 channels all the time. If you flip to the next channel, You go behind all those individual differences and you just see another soul just like you.
Earthworks of Poverty Point. The Poverty Point earthworks, located 1.1 miles north, date to 1700 to 1100 BC, built by Native Americans who hunted, fished, and gathered wild foods. The 5 mounds, 6 ridges, and 43-acre plaza present a design unique in the world. A 6th mound was added 1,800 years later. Tons of rock were imported from distant places for tools and ornaments. Southwest ridges. Mine southwest rides have been greatly reduced in size because of extensive farming activities and natural erosion. They average about 2 feet in height today, but may have been as much as 5 feet high when they were built by the Poverty Point people 3,000 years ago. The southwest sector of the ridges is sometimes called the industrial part of town. That is because there is strong evidence that artifacts were manufactured here. Unfinished manufactured stages called blanks and preforms of beads, pendants, plummets, and other artifacts are found in this area. Most of the micro-blade industry is located here, including cores, blades, and Jaketown perforators. These tools were probably used to work wood, bone, and antler objects. Reworking of broken artifacts is also evident. Now if you would look on the other side of the tram road, north side, you can see a low depression in the trees. This depression separates the southwest and west sectors of the ridges. It is known as the Southwest Aisleway. Looking from near the center of the plaza during the first day of winter, the setting sun aligns with this aisleway. Moundy is nearly 13 feet in height and about 300 feet by 360 feet at its base. At one time, it extended an estimated 90 or so feet south of the park property, but that portion is no longer standing. The mound also has a ramp-like projection to the northeast that may be a historic era modification. For many years, it was believed that Moundy was a naturally occurring rise. No artifacts were found in the fill or in the immediate area. Because of its shape, it was further suggested that the mound was a natural rise that had been sculpted by people. Finally, it was determined that there were kinds of soil in the mound that could not occur together naturally, and archaeologists knew then that Moundy was built by people. Like Mound B, the original topsoil was removed before construction began. Excavation and soil cores indicate that, after that, Moundy was built in 5 stages. 3 flat-topped platforms were built, with the first 2 having prepared surfaces on them. Unlike Mound F, it was not capped with a conical mantle of soil. No charcoal has been recovered from Mound E, so it has not been possible to obtain any radiocarbon dates. However, the degree of soil development indicates that the mound likely dates to the early part of the Poverty Point time frame of 1700 to 1100 BC. It was built in 3 stages: the westernmost cone, the broad, flat platform, and the ramp connecting the top of the cone and the platform. You are looking at the eastern edge of the platform. Mound A is one of the biggest Aboriginal earthworks in North America. and it is the largest built by hunter-fisher-gatherers. It consists of nearly 312,000 cubic yards of earth. That is about 390,000 tons of soil that would have been carried in baskets and possibly skin containers of about 50 pounds each. The Poverty Point inhabitants would have had to carry about 15.5 million loads to construct this giant mound. Radiocarbon dates on organic materials from under the mound indicate that it was built sometime after 1400 BC. Mound A is believed to be the last Poverty Point-aged mound constructed at the site. Mound A apex. You are standing on the top of Mound A, 165 feet above mean sea level, which is about 72 feet above the surrounding original land surface. At its base, the mound measures about 710 feet in length, east to west, and 660 feet in width, north to south. Mound A has an unusual shape, suggested by some to represent a bird in flight. The north-south extensions would be wings, and the eastward extending platform would be the tail. We don't know that this was the builder's intent, but birds are commonly represented in Poverty Point artifacts. Mound A is not a burial mound. There is no evidence that it served as a platform for buildings like temples or houses. Some archaeologists have suggested that building Mound A may have served to bring together and reinforce social relationships within the Poverty Point community or to demonstrate the power and wealth of the community to outsiders. Mound B. Mound B is the oldest mound at Poverty Point. Radiocarbon dating of charcoal from the mound indicates that its construction began about 1600 BC. Mound B today is about 20 feet in height and it is 180 feet in diameter at its base. Originally, the mound had a perfect conical form, but archaeological excavations in 1955 inadvertently altered its shape. The topsoil was removed before mound construction began. After that, the mound was built in 7 construction stages, including 3 major flat-topped platforms made of silt loam. The floors of the platforms had fire pits, charcoal, and possible potholes, indicating that some activities occurred there. A conical silt loam mantle was placed over the entire mound for the last construction stage, providing the final shape of the mound. Woven baskets and skin containers used to haul dirt left impressions in the fill of the mound. These have allowed archaeologists to better understand the ancient earth-moving techniques. Although conical mounds in the southeastern U.S. are often burial mounds, Mound B is not one. Understanding how it was used will require future research. Mound C. Mound C measures today about 260 feet long by 80 feet wide, but some of its original width has been lost through erosion into Bayou Mason. It appears to be about 6 feet tall, but its true base is about 2 feet lower than the current height of the adjacent plaza. The mound was probably conical in shape originally, but a historic-era road ran through it lengthwise and damaged it. Mound C is the only mound located within the plaza at Poverty Point. It contains as many as 16 thin, prepared surfaces or floors of different colors and textures of soil. Some of these surfaces have artifacts and hearths, pits, and potholes. These remains suggest that people may have lived on the mound. The final construction stage involved placement of a thick cap of soil over the mound. Mound C was built during the Poverty Point occupation, but it is not certain when during that time frame it was constructed.
Thank you.